Have you ever noticed something strange? Some people seem to work incredibly hard, yet they never seem to get ahead financially. They wake up early, they go to work every day, they sacrifice their time and energy, and still, they remain stuck in the same financial position year after year. Meanwhile, other people, sometimes working the same job, sometimes even less, seem to accumulate wealth, grow their savings, and create financial freedom. So what's the difference? Is it intelligence? Luck? Education? Not exactly. The real difference is something much deeper. It's the way their mind is programmed. Because the truth is, most people don't just struggle with money. Their mind has been unconsciously programmed to keep them poor. And the scariest part? They don't even realize it. Today, we're going to explore the hidden psychological patterns that silently shape your financial life. Patterns that may be controlling your decisions, your habits, and ultimately, your financial future. From the moment you were born, your brain began absorbing information about money. Not through textbooks, but through observation. You watched how your parents handled money. Maybe you saw arguments about bills. Maybe you heard phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. People like us will always struggle." At the time, these may have seemed like harmless comments, but to a developing mind, these statements become beliefs, and beliefs become mental programming. Over time, these beliefs quietly shape the way you see money. If you constantly hear that money is scarce, your brain starts believing opportunities are rare. If you hear that wealthy people are dishonest, a part of your mind may resist becoming wealthy yourself. And if you grow up believing financial struggle is normal, you unconsciously recreate that reality. Your brain begins operating like a thermostat. It tries to keep your financial life within the normal range it learned growing up. So even when opportunities appear, your mind may sabotage them, not because you want to fail, but because your brain is trying to return to what feels familiar. The human brain has one primary goal. Not success, not happiness, safety. Thousands of years ago, survival depended on avoiding danger. Your brain developed systems designed to protect you from risks. But here's the problem. In the modern world, many opportunities that lead to financial growth require uncertainty. Starting a business, investing money, learning new skills, changing careers, all of these involve risk. And when your brain senses risk, it triggers fear. Fear feels uncomfortable. So most people choose the path that removes that discomfort as quickly as possible. They stay in the same job, they delay investing, they avoid learning about money. Not because they lack intelligence, but because their brain is prioritizing emotional safety. Ironically, the very system designed to protect you is often the system preventing financial growth. One of the most powerful psychological traps keeping people poor is comfort. Humans are incredibly adaptable. Give someone a small apartment, a modest paycheck, and predictable routines, and eventually it becomes normal. The brain begins to associate that lifestyle with stability. Now imagine an opportunity appears. Maybe it's a chance to start a side business, or invest in learning a new skill, or move to a new city for better opportunities. Objectively, these choices could improve your life. But your brain doesn't analyze them objectively. Instead, it asks a different question. Is this safe? If the answer is uncertain, your brain pushes you back toward comfort, even if comfort means financial stagnation. This is why many people remain in situations they secretly dislike for years, because the known struggle feels safer than the unknown possibility. Another reason your mind keeps you poor is something psychologists call instant gratification. Your brain is wired to prefer rewards that arrive immediately. If given two options, $100 today or $1,000 a year from now, many people instinctively choose the $100 today, even though the long-term reward is much greater. This same pattern appears in everyday financial decisions. buying expensive gadgets, ordering food delivery frequently, upgrading phones every year, purchasing luxury items on credit. Each purchase provides a small burst of dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's reward chemical. It creates a feeling of pleasure and excitement. But this pleasure is temporary, and when it fades, the brain seeks another reward. Over time, this cycle leads to a pattern of spending rather than building wealth. Wealth, on the other hand, requires the opposite behavior: delayed gratification. Saving today so you can invest tomorrow. Investing today so your future becomes easier. But to a brain addicted to immediate rewards, delayed gratification feels like loss, and that psychological discomfort causes many people to avoid it. Another hidden force shaping your financial behavior is social comparison. Humans constantly measure themselves against others, not consciously, but automatically. When you see a friend driving a new car, your brain notices. When someone posts vacation photos on social media, your brain notices. When coworkers buy new clothes, gadgets, or expensive dinners, your brain notices. And slowly, a subtle pressure builds. A pressure to keep up, not necessarily because you want those things, but because your brain interprets status signals as indicators of success. So people begin making financial decisions based on appearances rather than long-term stability. They finance cars they cannot afford. They purchase designer brands to signal success. They live in larger homes than they truly need. Externally, it looks like progress. Internally, it often creates debt. And debt quietly drains the ability to build wealth. This is one of the greatest illusions in modern society. Many people who look wealthy are simply very good at borrowing money. Debt has become normalized in modern culture. Credit cards, car loans, buy now, pay later systems. These tools create the illusion that you can afford things you technically cannot. When you swipe a card, your brain doesn't feel the same pain as handing over physical cash. Psychologists call this the pain of paying. Cash creates a stronger emotional reaction. Digital payments weaken that reaction, so spending feels easier. And easier spending often leads to larger financial commitments. A $50 purchase becomes $200. A modest car becomes a luxury car. A manageable lifestyle becomes an expensive one. And over time, monthly payments accumulate. Each payment reduces the money available for saving or investing. Eventually, people find themselves working not to build wealth, but simply to maintain their payments. This is what financial experts call the debt treadmill. You keep running just to stay in the same place. Another mental program that keeps people poor is the scarcity mindset. Scarcity is the belief that resources are extremely limited. When people operate from scarcity, they focus heavily on immediate needs. Their mental energy becomes consumed by short-term survival. Research shows that financial stress actually reduces cognitive capacity. When someone constantly worries about bills, their brain has fewer resources available for long-term planning. This creates a cycle. Scarcity thinking leads to short-term decisions. Short-term decisions often reinforce financial instability, and financial instability strengthens scarcity thinking. Breaking this cycle requires a shift in perspective, from scarcity to possibility, from fear to strategy. But making that shift requires awareness, because most people don't realize how strongly their thinking patterns shape their financial life. One of the most powerful psychological barriers to wealth is identity. Every person carries an internal story about who they are. For example, I'm not good with money. I'm just bad at math. I come from a poor family. People like me don't become rich. These statements may feel like facts, but they're actually identities. And identities are powerful because your brain constantly tries to behave in ways that match your identity. If someone believes they are bad with money, their brain unconsciously looks for evidence to support that belief. They may avoid learning about finance. They may ignore budgeting. They may make impulsive purchases,
and each mistake reinforces the identity. But the opposite is also true. If someone begins identifying as a person who builds wealth, their behaviors begin to change. They start learning, they track spending, they invest, they think long-term. Their identity becomes the foundation of their financial habits. Breaking free from poor financial programming doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with a simple realization. Your financial life is not controlled only by income. It is heavily influenced by psychology. The way you think about money shapes the way you interact with it. Wealthy individuals often share certain mental patterns. They view money as a tool. They prioritize long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. They invest in knowledge. They focus on opportunities rather than limitations. Most importantly, they question the mental programs they inherited. They recognize that many beliefs about money were learned unconsciously, and learned beliefs can be changed. Changing your financial future begins with changing your mental patterns. Start by questioning your beliefs. Ask yourself, where did my beliefs about money come from? Are they actually true, or were they simply repeated often enough that they felt true? Next, begin replacing passive financial habits with intentional ones. Learn about investing, track your spending, prioritize assets over liabilities. These actions may feel uncomfortable at first. That's normal. Remember, your brain prefers familiarity. When you behave differently, your mind initially resists, but repetition slowly rewires those patterns. Over time, new habits become the new normal.
Financial transformation rarely happens through one dramatic moment. It happens through small daily decisions. Choosing to save a portion of your income, learning about financial literacy, investing consistently over time, avoiding unnecessary debt. Each decision may seem small, but together they create momentum, and momentum changes trajectories. A small shift in direction today can create a completely different financial future 10 years from now. Many people believe wealth is created by massive opportunities, but in reality, wealth is usually built through consistent behavior over long periods of time. Patience, discipline, learning, adaptation. These qualities are not glamorous, but they are powerful, and they begin with a shift in thinking. When you understand that your mind has been programmed, you gain the power to reprogram it. Your mind may have been programmed to keep you poor, but programming can be rewritten. Your past beliefs do not have to define your future. Your upbringing does not have to determine your financial destiny. The most powerful investment you can make is not in stocks, not in real estate, but in understanding how your mind works. Because once you take control of your thinking, you begin taking control of your financial life, and that's when everything starts to change.